5, 4, 3, 2, and we're live on YouTube and Twitch. Hello everyone, welcome to the Reviewers Web, a roundtable consisting of several members of the Brony analytical community. Tonight we will be discussing Yakety Sax, episode 14 of season 8. Oh no, excuse me. I've lost my mind. We'll be discussing episode 14, the principle of the matter with Discord.
Welcome to the army of you.
I just watched it with all of you and I said that wrong. You can all make fun of me.
What a loser. You got the number wrong.
Dave Flora, my anxiety is acting up again!
So, I have with me tonight several individuals who I will let introduce themselves, starting with the person under me. That would be you, Goldie.
He's currently setting
Welcome
up push
to
to
the
talk right
army
now.
of you.
Well, Jasper?
Hello. This is the Pizza Porno, Jasper Pie, Pie's Pizzeria, who better cook a pie than a pie, etc., etc.
Welcome to the army of you.
Oh, I guess it's my turn. Hi, I am Lightning Bliss, the Rainbow Alicorn. I am not dead from Thunderblight. Relax.
Hey guys, this is Master Cud, your ace analyst here. Yes, that's right, your super awesome Stallion of the
Welcome
Stars, here to
the
go. Woo!
army of you.
Hey there everybody, Shoujo here, and I'm just here with a bunch of cool people to talk about the episodes and talk about the Discord and stuff, so I hope we'll all have a fun time.
And greetings, people of the interwebs. My name is Silver Quill. I mean you great harm. I'm sorry? No harm. Yes.
I somehow don't believe that.
He lies!
I have my doubts against that. My name is Solar Flare. I am just a guy that likes to yell a lot, and apparently people find that cool. Also, I'm not Golden Fox, so if anybody asks, I'm going to kill them.
Are you Golden
He'll do
Fox?
it.
And I am finally the Brony Critic. I am a fandom reviewer because every fandom needs a critic, and I'm happy to be here.
Members who this week are currently absent would be the Wilstonator, aka Thespio, Sunset Shimmer Sparkle,
AKA Harmony Dancer.
Kay Patterson, and Moonlight Burb. Sometimes there may be people absent, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize for that. Sometimes they may have other events taking place. The only weekends I can guarantee you that so far that we would not be doing this will be on Pony Convention weekends. In the meantime, let us start with Golden Fox. Have you've seen episode 14, correct? You weren't here for the viewing. I have to check.
I think he's still setting up the push to talk.
I didn't think it was that complicated.
Well, he's still new to Discord. So.
I'm not used to how the push the top thing works. Like, I know how to activate it, I just don't know how to set up the short key button.
Don't worry, Golden. I had setting it up too.
Alright, so I never really gave out my own introduction here.
Go ahead. Give out your
Okay,
introduction, and then we'll start with your initial thoughts.
Okay, so sorry, this was a bit of a last-minute panic. So anyway, I am Golden Fox. I've been reviewing episodes in Friendship is Magic since 2011. Some people refer to me as the quote-unquote granddaddy or godfather of reviewers, which is kind of silly, but at the same time, I have that kind of status. But regardless, what do I think of... It was Yakety Sax, right?
No, this would be the principle of the matter.
The one with Discord and Starlight. I didn't like this episode. Discord was a bigger jerk than usual. Now, obviously, when it comes to Discord's character, sorry if I'm jumping right into this. It's obviously in Discord's character to do something, something hectic, but to a point where he also harms kids and goes as far as to, he failed to be communicative with Starlight about what it takes to control the school. And there was a lot of things that I felt as though they could have straightened out. Jeez, I'm sitting here in the spotlight here. I'm going through a complete brain fart. I I'm trying to remember what it was. Discord wasn't happy that he didn't get to like get involved with helping out with the school, but this was an incredibly short notice on his part. Kind of similar to my own position, except I'm not going to make a big scene. I think I probably have. Yeah, no, Discord was not very likable, and this is a similar issue I had with the majority of the series, and that's when the characters are failing to be communicative and informative on any particular matter, and it really made things more stressful for Starlight than it needed to be. So I'm going to go ahead and stop here just to prevent repeating myself and pass the torch.
Well, as for me, I found it to be an entertaining episode. I mean, Discord's methods were kind of infuriating, but it did give me the one thing I kind of wanted to see. Starlight having to deal with Discord madness. You all know about my feelings of Starlight, and so she needed the chaotic spanking, and she got that spanking! With a lot of infuriating stuff in between. And now I pass the torch to Blissey.
Well, everybody seems to be on the same page right now. I gotta remind everyone that Discord was meant to be he's like a little boy, a little child. He gets into trouble, he makes mistakes, and he learns as he goes. That's basically his character. But he's learned a lot in the past, and to see him act this way, and like Golden and Joey said, endangering children and basically kind of throwing a tantrum because he wanted to do things his way, and I feel like his character kind of went backwards, unfortunately. But it was still a very entertaining episode regardless. I did definitely had fun with the antics. The children were absolutely adorable. We got a lot of shipping fuel, according to Silver Quill. Probably the highlight for me, though, and I know if Wilson were here, he would be going burn on Starlight Glimmer, poor thing. But yeah, Discord finally said the words that probably a lot of people were thinking when she first was reformatted or like became good. And that was, you are a power-hungry unicorn hell-bent on controlling everybody in Equestria, and somebody had the gall to give you a leadership role. He basically was speaking what a lot of Starlight Glimmers were saying from the get-go, and I'm sure a lot of people were praising Discord when he did that. But at the same time, I'm like, dibs, fighting words, and we got Dragon Ball Z Starlight Glimmer for a few seconds. That was awesome.
We still love you, Twily.
So, on that note, I will pass it to my financial manager, Mastercode.
That is marketing manager, Miss Bliss.
I am so sorry, my marketing manager, ladies and
Anyway,
gentlemen.
I'm gonna cruise through this one. You know, when we look at other past Discord episodes, one of the main problems is Discord. When he usually causes trouble, he usually wants something. He has some motivation. Like, let's take make new friends, but keep Discord. You know, in that one, you know, he wanted to make Fluttershy jealous. You know, he tried, failed, but he tried. But here, I don't know what his motivations were. Because, like I said, usually he has some reason for causing mischief and whatnot. Whether they're all selfish needs, and you know, in the end, he kind of learns more about friendship and stuff. But here, I'm like, you're doing all this crazy stuff. You're going through all these shenanigans all throughout the school, and I'm like,
to the army of you.
go here, brother. And by the way, this is side notes, and I'm thinking about it right now. The substitute teachers that Starlight brought in, you know, we saw a Spitfire for like a second when she flies away from the field. It's like we never actually saw him interact with the students. That would have been kind of cool. That would have been a great scene. And we didn't even see Maud, even though she was brought in. It's like that was just some plot point we forgot. But yeah, suffice it to say, I thought this was a very irritating, bland, meh episode. So I shall pass it off.
To the army of you.
Thanks for passing it off to me, Master Code. I think everyone else has aired their grievances about the episode itself. Oh wait, hold on.
This is your initial thoughts. Go ahead with your initial
Welcome
thought.
to
Like,
the
what
army
is
of
what
Europe.
strikes you the most? Even if it's the same thing as the others, it's
Well,
nice
as
to
the
hear.
others were saying, and I have to agree with them, it's kind of been a really irritating episode. Discord was just. I usually do like some of Discord's antics and the stuff that he usually pulls and gets into, but I think it was just that he was endangering the kids and like getting them into trouble just to like get something out of it, and I just didn't like it. I didn't like this episode at all. And I guess I'll pass it off to Silver if sorry, I'm kind of fairly new.
It's all good. I too, well, I really enjoyed this episode for everything happening around the two lead characters. When you look at the events besides Starlight and Discord, it's a lot of fun. And I thought very highly. I loved the development of several characters, especially the students. Unfortunately, we will get into themes about this. I'm going to want to talk about the notion of the trickster versus the Joker and what that all really means and what Discord's purpose could be. But the episode lost me when I started to feel like they're rewarding him for being awful. And that's not only a bad message for the students of the School of Friendship, it's a bad message for the audience. So a good, fun episode in my opinion, but with a very bitter aftertaste. Solar, take it away.
I mean, at this point, I'm just gonna end up like regurgitating what everybody else has been saying. Like, yeah, the episode had a lot of fun. There were plenty of visual
Welcome
gags,
to
plenty
the
of
army
plenty of
Europe.
gags in general that I found funny. And then there was Discord, who is just, being quote unquote Discord, but not the Discord that we've been watching progress like all this time. He's like, he's almost back to season 2 Discord, just doing whatever the hell he wanted to do, which I thought was like it's like a step back for him, and then they end up rewarding him for it, which is like, why would you do that? All in all, like, I mean, it had good. I think it had more bad than good, but that doesn't mean that it's unwatchable by any means. Passing it off.
Yeah, I kind of agree with all of them, especially with Silver Quill. The problem I have with this episode is that, like, we've had episodes where they're kind of dark or there's kind of elements that we're not okay with, but I don't think since Princess Spike we've had such a virulently mean-spirited episode. Everything about this episode feels really mean-spirited. I do like parts of it. I like some of the character interactions. One character in particular is just a champ through the whole episode and is the best part of it. But the meat of the story is just so cold-hearted and so undeserving of everything that happens. It doesn't feel genuine, anything that happens throughout the entire story. Passing it off.
All right, so comes back to me. We do have one question that has been posed from chat, and you guys may pitch this in. Just make sure you queue up in whatever order you would like. But someone has asked, and I will read their name for you. Jesse Barb06 wants to know, what about Spike?
I find Spike to be the most delightful character. He's a champ through this whole thing.
He has arguably the funniest line in the episode.
He basically represents everything right with the episode that should have been addressed, and he was probably the only adult in this episode, which is very ironic.
Yeah, Spike was kind of he was the one-line champion during this entire episode. He was sitting there like, no matter what was coming up, he had the answer to it, which for some reason sometimes the characters elected to not follow. But yeah, no, Spike was definitely he was definitely a highlight. He was definitely a good thing about this episode.
And then I saw Brony Critic, and then Master Code, and then Shoujo.
Yeah, Spike is the absolute highlight. He is on point as far as his character. He has shown the full evolution that he's gone through. I honestly think if they had restructured this episode to maybe be around Spike and his development in the school, and maybe have that counterpointed with Discord, maybe it would have been better. But I'm not sure how you could have made this storyline, especially since apparently it was intended as being based on Pride and Prejudice somehow by the writer.
Yeah, I think that the Spike and Starlight Glimmer, I think they were fantastic. They had great chemistry together, working off each other. Spike, he's the voice of reason. He was the one who was coming up with ideas, trying to figure out how to solve this problem. And yeah, as usual, he's always the good one-liner as well. So yeah, he was awesome.
I find it pretty ironic that the child in amongst all of them is the most grown up out of all of them. Spike was just really grown up, and he knew what was going on, what had to be done, and he was like a straight man, and that's how I like him. Just really surprising that the child is the most grown up out of all of them.
I'm genuinely surprised that there's another episode in which I feel like I have to like Spike. In the meantime, that is all the viewer questions we have so far. So the next thing that comes up is, how would you guys improve the episode? We'll start at the bottom this time with Brony Critic.
Well, I think the main problem with this episode stems from its mean-spiritedness. I've gone on the record in saying that my least favorite episode was Princess Spike, and I think it suffers from a lot of the same problems this one does. When I dislike that episode, it's entirely because Spike is totally undeserving of the retribution that, is bestowed upon him by the episode. If a character is in the wrong and bad things happen to them, that's fine, that's okay, but it has to kind of be equal to whatever they did. The problem I have with that episode is that even when he apologizes, even when he rectifies his mistake, the narrative still punishes him. And in this storyline, we kind of get the opposite of that situation of Discord is a dick through the whole episode. Starlight has done nothing to warrant this kind of negative, this kind of vitriol from him. And then at the end of the episode, Discord gets exactly what he wants. It's like that's a horrible way to run it. It's so cruel and cold, and it didn't have to be that way. I'm not quite sure how you could fix it, because the fundamental problem with this episode is at the core of its conflict. To fix it, you'd have to completely upend the entire conflict.
I mean, short and sweet, I think the way to improve this episode would to not make Discord as much of a hypocrite as he was in this episode. Because the thing that stuck out is he told Starlight, "Oh, you're power hungry and you like to control everybody." But this is coming from the person that pretty much betrays people on a weekly basis and messes around with them whenever he sees fit. And again, he does whatever he wants. He makes life hard for everybody, and then he gets what he wants at the end. And it wasn't even along the lines of, oh, there was a deeper meaning as to why he wanted that. It's just because he felt like it at the time, and because he felt like it, that's what he gets.
Silver.
I'm not sure you need to upend the entire conflict, but I think you need to reorient it. One of the qualities of jokesters in stories is that they can make you appreciate what's most important by tearing your entire life apart. In a way, they use humor to reorient your view. At the very start of this episode, Twilight has laid out everything for Starlight, saying, this is how it'll be run, this is how you want to do it, and Starlight wants to do it just like Twilight did. But to quote Rainbow Dash, but that was me, you're you. I think Discord's goal should have been to teach Starlight, you can't run this as Twilight did, because she's a different pony. You have to run it the way you want to. And in doing so, he throws in the chaos, upends everything, so Starlight has to step up and realize her own value as a leader by getting everyone to work around Discord's chaos. I think that'd be a much more positive trait without necessarily undoing that Discord is a trickster. He'll always upend your life.
Okay.
My turn?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna like spin you all back to before times and talk about Zephyr Breeze. He was kind of like in the same position as Discord. He's kind of like acting like a jerk, but but beneath all of that, he was just afraid of not screwing. He was afraid of screwing up. He was afraid of failure. There was a reason behind why he was like such a jerk sometimes. But Discord in this episode, he was just a jerk for the sake of being a jerk because he didn't get what he wanted. He wanted something out of it, so he figured that if he acted like a jerk, then he'd get it, and he gets it. I usually like the antics that Discord gets into, and he can bring a very funny moment to the show, but this was really disheartening, if I'm using that word right. He was just mean and mean-spirited and just everything that I didn't like about him.
All right, I'm going to go back to what I talked about earlier where, like I said, Discord, he really had no motivation. One of the things that, overall, from a character standpoint, he's had a pretty decent growth. Some slip-ups every once in a while, but, overall, I've liked how he's been developing. Like, one of the things that, again, I want to see him develop more character. Like, maybe establish a reason he's doing all this. Like, maybe Starlight says something like, oh, I don't think you're, you being the god and the spirit of chaos and whatnot, enough for ruling and whatnot, even if it is just a school or whatever. And you can still have Discord doing like little monkey shines here and there, messing with the school, but use it to his advantage and make it more visually interesting for the audience. Like, for example, I think one of my favorite comics from the MLP comics is issue number 2, where Discord is helping the CMC get their cutie marks. And excuse me. And it goes through a whole bunch of imaginative. I cannot talk. It goes through a whole bunch of imaginative scenarios that just run the gamut from Star Wars, Star Trek, and all that stuff. It's like take the kids on these, fantastic scenarios, like astronomy, for example. You can get them in spacesuits and take them to the stars, or get some creative imagery, teach the students something. Over time, build his confidence, be like, maybe I can do this. And Starlight at the same time is like, I guess he can do this after all, and it won't come off as mean-spirited, but more helpful for the kids. It's like, hey, we love this new learning. This is great. It's so much experiential. And like I said, if the story definitely needed another couple drafts, but that's what I would do to fix it.
Well, for me, honestly, I feel like I needed to completely scratch this plot and redo it. Basically, first off, I don't like that Discord was the one that did a glamour spell on the cutie marks of the Maid Six and had them go away just so he could have an excuse to invade and leave the school. Rather, could they just had a continuity tie-in with another episode where Twilight goes to Las Pegasus? Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. I'm not going to go any further due to spoilers. So there's that. I would have rather that like the Maid Six had an actual reason to leave the school, and so there's that. Then I would have had Discord shows up like he did at the beginning, but he openly admits to Starlight that, I want to have something to do. I didn't get to partake in the school before. I think I could really contribute my abilities and help you out. And we're friends after all, so why not give me a shot? Starlight is reluctant because it's Discord, but she agrees. She's like, okay, sure, let's work together. I'm sure things will go a lot smoothly if we work together. But then, of course, Discord doesn't know anything about teaching a school, let alone how to run one. And yes, chaos tends to ensue, and this progressively makes Starlight Glimmer angry. And this is a character personality trait with her. She gets gradually angry, and then she doesn't know how to handle it. And typically, when she gets frustrated or runs into obstacles, she tries to use magic to fix the problem. And so more chaos and magic ensues, and it comes down to maybe Spike having to reason with the both of them that, hey, this is not how things are supposed to be run. You two are supposed to be working together. Compromise, talk it out, make a plan, come together. And I think that would have made it much funnier and more metaphorical episode about working together as friends.
Okay, wow, she ran that down to 1 second.
First of all, I would have made the tree the new principal.
Welcome to the army of you.
That's sorry. It's an inspirational tree
That's
makes
fair.
dragons sneeze.
I will have a bunch of viewer questions as soon as we get through Jasper and Golden Fox chat. Anyway, Jasper, go
Right.
ahead.
But for real, I think the episode could have played out the same, but at the very end, instead of rewarding Discord, she would have just flat out said, she would have just flat out told him, but I'm so, bleh. She would have just flat out said, look, I'm sorry that I didn't communicate about this. I'm sorry you didn't get to be a part of this, but this isn't the way to do it. And this isn't the way to make friends. Then she kind of gets an icy sting, like how he and Fluttershy first became friends. Kind of a callback to that in a way, if that makes sense. Because I think obviously banishing them with magic didn't work. I think just trying to bring out the authority, like actual talking friend to friend authority, could have helped a bit more. If that makes sense.
Golden Fox. Golden, you're on push to talk.
I
Golden.
don't think he's here.
Goldilocks!
Okay, I don't know how the push the talk thing works, so I just went and pushed the voice activity. Okay, so what would I suggest to improve this episode? Be communicative. This is an issue that a lot of the episodes in the show has had issues with. Swarm of the Century, Newbie Dash, I could go on forever. The only time they ever got that right was with Make New Friends But Keep Discord. And that's because the whole episode, Discord was trying to outperform Fluttershy's other friend, Tree Hugger. And apparently this was him trying to get the message to what how he's feeling with Fluttershy until he had to explain it to him. But in this episode, there was hardly communication of anything. I forgot the whole reason why Discord was doing all of this in the first place. There was barely any motivation. And before anybody says that it would just end the conflict immediately, put more effort into your script. If it's just one line that would completely dissolve the episode's conflict, then put more thought into it and recraft your dialogue more to actually make the conflict more legit. And even if it is just one simple little line that would, completely get rid of the conflict or end the conflict sooner, then try to figure out a way to continue the conflict onward. A perfect example of that was the Gabby episode, The Fault in Our Cutie Marks, where I'm trying to speed it up as much as possible. The first time I saw that Gabby wanted a cutie mark, and I'm just thinking, well, Griffins can't get cutie marks. Then she says, oh, maybe I'll be the first to get it. We don't know yet. Thank you. A little communication like that, and it continues this conflict a little bit more than usual. I think that would have helped put more layers on this episode, because it's a very thin, dragged out scenario of endangering kids and everything. Just be communicative. It's really just, it's script writing 101, and sometimes the writers in the show suffer from forgetting that. I'm going to end there.
Okay, hold on. I've got a bunch of questions from the chat. They are addressed to the whole panel, not to anyone in particular. So I've got from Sir Squeak the Stir. Why does Discord not yet punished, yet Spike does? Any theories?
So who's going
queue up first, and I'll go
Alright.
by the order I see the queue. So I saw Silverquill, then Jasper, then Brony Critic.
Well, I guess I need to clarify what we mean by Spike getting punished, because if it's just physical abuse, unfortunately, that is Spike's comedy role within the show. He is often the receiving end of slapstick. And honestly, I feel like that started to wear out its welcome in season 4. But in terms of why is Discord not being punished for his wrongdoing, I guess it comes down to, how do you punish someone who can control reality? I mean, the one thing he can't control is Pony's affection towards him, and we saw what a tough impact that had when he thought Fluttershy was no longer his friend. And I guess he hasn't had enough time with Starlight for her anger or the thought of losing her as a friend to really impact him that much. So dare I hope that they actually have more interaction in the future, so that starts to mean more.
Jasper.
Part of me doesn't feel like he got totally punished. He got basically blocked from actually showing what he could do as principal before he even got a chance to show his stuff. But yeah, in terms of actual why he doesn't get punished but Spike does, I'm not sure. I guess because okay, it's actually kind of hard to. This is actually kind of a hard one. Pass.
Okay, Brony Critic.
I think it fundamentally comes down to the roles of their characters. I think Silver Quill really touched on something, is that this was kind of always Spike's role, or no, it wasn't Spike's role. It was the role that the writers from the very beginning of the show felt comfortable in, that the show for little girls couldn't have a genuine boy character on it that could be a serious dramatic role. He had to be for comedy, and that kind of continued on throughout the seasons. As for Discord, I think it ultimately just comes down to that's not what his character was ever intended for. This episode was not meant, like, this episode should not have been made with in the way that it did, because it doesn't work with any of their characters. It seems like it was written by somebody who doesn't know the limitations and the themes behind each of the characters. And because of that, Spike's the one that usually gets punished.
And did I miss anyone? Okay. Next question from the chat is, does anyone here think Starlight Glimmer overreacted? Yes or no, and why? Go ahead, Bliss, and then Silver Quill, Shoujo, and Jasper.
I think Starlight reacted the way I honestly expected her to, because even I was being thrown for a loop. Why is Discord doing this? I thought we were friends. Yeah, I thought so too, Starlight. What the heck, Discord? What are you doing? And then, of course, he had to make the big call on her past by calling her a power-hungry unicorn. I mean, ooh. That's a jab at the heart. That wasn't just a jab at, like, her as a person, but just a, yeah, you know what? No, it was a jab at everything. It was a jab at her past, her heart, her pride. And you don't expect one of your friends to do that to you. So no, I don't think she overreacted at all for her character. And again, her magic is motivated heavily by her emotions. Discord poked the right button on Starlight, and no, I honestly am not surprised how she reacted.
Well, then, to continue off what Bliss said, shot through the heart, and Discord's to blame. There we go. I'm going to say that Starlight did not overreact when she banished him. Granted, I hope that whoever cares for the lawns at the School of Friendship will have a talk with her later. But Discord was really crossing the line, and she flexed a little authority, which you sometimes have to do to show everyone, hey, this is not proper behavior. It's why we ask people to leave the room. We kick them out of chats. Kids have to go into timeout. Now, Discord found a way around it, but at that moment, I think she was totally justified in banishing him, even though it looked like he did. But at the end, where it's one thing that she apologizes and acknowledges the error. That is perhaps a good lesson for the students. But making him co-head mayor, that's rewarding his disruption. That's sending the wrong message, and I totally agreed with Sandlot. Now, why am I suddenly blanking on his name? Sandbar. I totally understood when he said, I'm confused.
Yeah, going around along with what everyone else was saying, I think that Starlight acted in a very. I expected her to act like that because that's just the way that she is. She's a very emotional tied character. What she usually does is tied to her emotions, as seen in like a lot of past few episodes. One that I can think of off the top of my head would be All Bottled Up, even though that's a really far away. But I think I figure that she acted accordingly. I myself would have probably just snapped at Discord too like that. And I have to agree with Silver there that it was kind of bad to disagree. Well, apologize for what happened because sometimes a little force is needed to get a point across.
But now at least I'm inspired of how I can deal with Silver Quill.
Oh my.
Bring
Big
it.
oof.
Does anyone else want to weigh in on this question before we move to the next one?
I'll go real quick. Joe, you can go first if you want.
Okay, I may poke fun at Starlight a lot, but no, I don't think she overreacted. I think, yeah, Discord, even though, it kind of needed to be said, he pushed some bad buttons and just didn't expect her to turn him into a ghost, or is that just a thing he can do? Can he just rip his spirit right out of his body? It's just, I'm frightened and confused by chaotic abilities.
Actually, she banished him from the grounds, but she said only his body. So he's a creature of chaos. He can rip his spirit out of his body, apparently.
I still can't be the only one concerned about that.
Okay, we had Master Code and then Silver Quill and Solar Flare.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, real quick, like, yeah, totally. Starlight, she was totally in the right. Like, she had to use a Kamehameha wave in order to take out the Spirit of Chaos. It's like, if like simple talking, that wasn't gonna work. It's like, okay, if talking isn't gonna work, I'm gonna show you my power. Now you're banished. Now you're a ghost. So, yeah, I think she was totally in the right.
Well, personally, I look at all this and I just realized that Discord should not be the co-head mayor. He should be the leader of the cheerleading team. Because we've got spirit. Yes, we do. We've got spirit. How about you?
Get out!
That was
Get
bad,
out,
and you should
Silver
feel
Quill.
bad.
Welcome to the
But
army
I do not.
of Europe.
I'm going to queue up to snap my own neck. Okay, anyways. The, my whole take on it is, by the books, like, yes, she overreacted, but it was completely justifiable as to why she did. Especially considering that he was literally right before that, he was literally putting students in danger. And then, obviously, most rational people are going to think, okay, he's being crazy right now. There's no way in hell that speaking to him is going to make this magically go away. But magic, as it turns out, can make things magically go away. So, she did overreact, but it's completely understandable as to why she did. Like, she was justified.
Okay, I apologize. There was a troll for a half second in chat. He's taken care of. Anybody else have any other thoughts they want to weigh in on if Starlight overreacted? I think it was finally cool to see them unleash power again, and also, no, she didn't overreact. Last time I checked, if I pulled half the stunts Discord did, I was expelled from school.
Yeah, pretty much.
We have a interesting note from Venomous Pie. I am actually more interested in the main six's fake friendship mission and what went on with that. Where's everybody else's thought?
That would have sounded like a nice continuity episode, kind of like with Sister of Social and Made in Manhattan. Brother of Social, sorry.
Okay. Anybody? Oh, wow. Let's start with Solar, Silver, Jasper, and Brony Critic.
Welcome to the army
Okay,
of Europe.
so my question is, how did they find out that it was fake? Because obviously they had to go somewhere. They mentioned that they went spelunking in a cave, and there was, eyeless worm creatures. At what point when they were
Welcome
through there
to
did they
the
realize,
army of you.
wait a minute, this whole thing is a load of BS here? Like, at what point did they say, yeah, you know, I'm getting some bad vibes here. I feel like this is not what we're actually supposed to be doing. Like, I'm kind of curious as to what
Welcome
tipped them
to
off
the army of
that this
you.
wasn't an actual quest. It was just some magic shenanigans.
I actually find the concept very fascinating that you can deceive the map or create an illusion. Because this isn't something the opponents can second guess. You've been called by what is one of the most powerful forces in Equestria. You don't have call waiting. And if a villain were in the know and savvy enough, they could lay a very important trap for the main six using this. So I don't know how much time is left in the show, but the writers could use that to great effect. As to how they found out that it was false, I kind of wonder if the map might send out a return call kind of urgently, like SOS, SOS, which I think would be funny. The friendship problem you're trying to reach cannot be dialed at this number.
I forget who was next.
You.
I think I'm more concerned how apparently this was personal enough. This whole thing would start was personal enough that he'd even put Fluttershy in danger. You know, because he sent the whole lot of them, all 6 of them, her included, to this dangerous spot. I actually want to picture that he just sent the 5 of them to this dangerous location and he sent her to like a pillow factory or something. Because that sounds like more something Discord would do. But again, that's just me.
I get the sense that this is actually more a symptom of the story's weaker plot, because I get the sense that earlier drafts of this script probably had it much more similar to what Silver Quill was talking about, and it sort of being the lesson, like Discord teaching a lesson about things, and then it would have been Discord let off the spell at a certain point so that they'd come back. But because they changed it, they changed much of the spirit of the episode, that doesn't come across, and so it actually is probably more likely just a flaw of a changing script.
I just wanted to follow up on one thing Jasper said. We actually have a little precedent on why would he send them into danger. Back in Three's a Crowd, he sent Twilight and Cadence to go fetch this nonsensical flower. I don't think he knew, though, about the Tatzel worm, which is why it took him by surprise at the end. It's a similar case here where I think he just sent them off and didn't know or didn't really consider the dangers they might encounter along the way.
Okay, that actually makes more sense than just consider, because he even got Fluttershy in on this.
VR, did you see my message?
I did.
Okay, sorry. I got to head off.
That's understandable. We've got about another 30 minutes left. The next question about this particular episode is, what consequences should Discord receive? We'll start with Jasper this time.
Have Twilight or Starlight put some kind of anti-magic spell on him and make him write on the chalkboard 87 times. I will not mess with Starlight. I will not mess with Starlight. I will not mess with Starlight. The ultimate educational punishment.
Well, now you've got me thinking of the new opening for the show, The Ponies. Made it on Discord at chalkboard. For me, I would say no tea with Fluttershy for a month, probably because she could use a little distance from him as well. And like I say, if there's one way to make Discord feel chastised, it's to feel like he's being denied Fluttershy's affection.
Ouch and a half.
Yikes. I thought I had something clever.
Harsh.
Yeah, actually, I think Silver's idea is better than mine. Because I think the only thing that really could have worked, because, he attacked a bunch of students, not only students, but students from foreign countries, foreign exchange students, which could cause a diplomatic incident. In reality, he probably should be sent back into Stone for at least a couple of weeks.
Okay,
Ooh,
so
that's ouch.
Golden Fox.
yeah, have him clean up the entire mess that he caused. That's what I would have done.
Without magic.
Yeah, that too. Do it manually. No magic.
Total manual labor. Dig it. Master Code and then Solar Fire.
Yeah, I'm gonna leech off what Golden said. Yeah, make him clean up the mess, get everything back in order, and then send him on that quest that the main 6 went off of. See how he likes it.
I mean, honestly, that is definitely a strategy that worked when I was younger and I did stuff I wasn't supposed to do. It's like, oh, you want to cause this mess? Well, now you got to clean it up by yourself. And at that point, I learned, oh, maybe don't do that. So maybe I don't have to deal with this.
Okay, does anybody else want to weigh in on this one? Alright, I got 3 more chat questions and then we'll move to final thoughts. And if there's time left over, we'll answer any more questions that happen to pop up. How do you guys feel about Cranky's scene? We'll start with Jasper, then Solar Flare, Shoujo, Silverquill, and Brony Critic.
I kind of feel like Cranky's scene was pointless. I mean, he could have gotten any other villain, he could have gotten the Flim Flam brothers of all people, and yet Discord goes with this cranky donkey. Just why? Don't feel like he was needed. Don't think he's enough of a chaotic element.
I mean, like I said this earlier about Discord, but with Cranky, again, this almost felt like a step backwards for him. Because, yeah, he was always cranky, haha, pun, pun, pun. And he didn't exactly like company, but he certainly didn't lounge around and make other people do tedious, menial crap for him. That was just... That was just like, it's almost like they didn't even know what his character was beforehand. I mean, yeah, sure, he didn't exactly like company and he liked to be left alone, but now he's surrounded by people that are just making tea for him, which looks suspiciously like orange juice, by the way. But yeah, like, it was almost like, is this even Cranky, or is this just a guy that looks like Cranky?
Pretty
Makes
sure
no
the
sense.
missus isn't gonna like this.
I gotta agree with Solar there, because this is completely the opposite Cranky that I know. I mean, sure, he's only had the spotlight in a few episodes, but this is not how I remember Cranky. He wasn't this cranky. I mean, sure, he was cranky just a little bit with Pinky, but he wasn't this much of a jerk.
Although I agree with just about what everyone said, I'm going to take the role of devil's advocate just so we can have a alternate viewpoint. Cranky Doodle has always been represented as hard work. He does everything himself. He tackles things. He's even appeared unexpectedly, like Fairy and Spike in Dragon Quest. Now, in a way, he is teaching those kids hard work. It just happens to be benefiting from it, but because he's actually kind of taking a drill instructor's approach. They do the job and abuse them more. I think you could argue that he is trying to convey an important lesson with a very selfish appearance. But as you guys say, we've never seen this aspect of him in previous episodes, so it is a lot harder to swallow.
It's jarring is what it is.
It's actually the moment when I stopped kind of really liking the episode. Like, up to the point I could kind of deal with a little bit of Discord shenanigans, and there's to a degree where you can kind of deal with it. But the moment you see, like, Cranky, who is a good guy, we've never seen a situation, like, we've seen where he can be upsetting, but we've never seen him cruel. And in that scene, I think it really kind of... it shows that the writer of this script had no idea who Cranky was. They just needed somebody to fill that role. And I think it really does a disservice to the character. And it just kind of goes to the overlying dark, unsettling feeling this entire episode presents.
Anybody else?
I will give this. It's nice to see callback characters from earlier seasons, but unfortunately, within that episode, it just seemed like they didn't really provide much of a purpose other than just be a substitute teacher for the sake of having a substitute teacher.
Yeah, pretty much Cranky and all the substitute teachers, to be honest, they were just superfluous roles. If it was going to lead into something like maybe each of the main students, they were going to on with them over the course of the episode, then yeah, I could see that happening. I could get behind that. But it's just like, hi, I'm Cranky, bye, and with everyone else. So it was just a waste of time.
At least Cranky actually got a speaking role. Poor Spitfire and Maud. They referenced that Spitfire put them through laps. We don't even get to see Maud. I feel as if her rock lessons were taken for granted.
God damn, mother.
Your anger is delicious.
We're gonna.
I am in physical amounts of pain.
Don't
the very
worry, these
least,
puns are
it-
all set in stone.
Silver,
Well
at the
done.
very least, you're a reason why you become a punching bag for a lot of things.
It's funny because it's true.
That joke was a piece of schist.
Well, all I can say is shale and well met.
Personally, I feel like the tree of all of them was the best teacher. Well, the tree and maybe Maud, if we ever got to see what her lesson plan was, because yeah, we all know how we feel about Cranky. Iron Will is Iron Will. Trixie is blah, and Spitfire. Okay, I guess she's all right too.
I just wish we had more times with the other characters. I mean, you gave screen time for Iron Will, Cranky, and who was the other substitute that Discord had?
A tree.
Yeah.
Oh, the tree, right?
Yes, we gave actual screen time to a tree, and Maud Pie and Spitfire get 0 lines.
Right? That's the part that I wanted to see. I wanted to see what their lessons plans were and what they would be doing. Not give the spotlight to some tree. I mean, come on, Discord.
I kind of feel like Trixie's scene may have dragged on a bit too long, and that night.
There was a really nice gag at the end, though.
This is true.
I saw Golden Fox has queued up and Silver Quill queued up. So let's go with Goldie first.
Like I said, I think there could have been a much better role for the substitute teachers other than just being fillers, because they didn't really do much.
Okay. For me, I think of Discord's choices, Iron Will was the funnest because of his interaction with Yona. I mean, pair a loud, blustery guy with a timid soul who can... I'm glad it wasn't Ocellus. I don't think she could have adapted like Yona. But I thought he had the most fun. With Starlight's choices, it's all sort of degrees of separation. Trixie, kind of obvious. Her best friend, of course, she's going to bring her in on this. Spitfire is Rainbow Dash's boss, so that's 1 degree separation. Maud is Pinky's sister. Ergo, I felt like, Trixie, you need to expand your social Starlight, you need to expand your social circles. I did love the banana phone. Ring, 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 banana phone. But I will say the best choice was indeed the tree, because it can get to the root of a friendship problem and cause everyone to, branch out.
You know,
I want you to leave.
I'm just going to point out, Silverquill, you're absolutely right. It can really bark out those lessons.
Yeah, that one was okay.
I hope it can give us the fruits of its labor.
I think all of your performances are really wooden.
I'm gonna take my leave now.
I'm afraid these jokes are becoming truncated.
Wow, we are terrible and should all feel bad for various reasons.
But I
And
don't.
yet we do not. Kinda says a lot, don't it?
All right, that is all the viewer questions I had submitted so far that were not just general questions about the show itself. Those of you who submitted just general questions about the season or the show itself, we will be getting to those in a later time, just not today. So I have them written down for later when we get to the general feel of Season 8 once we get through all of the remaining episodes. In the meantime, we have our little final thoughts segment to give out. And then any final questions that have come up from the chat between now and then. Since we started at the top with Golden Fox, we'll start final thoughts at the bottom with Brony Critic. So having heard everyone's opinion and everyone's insanity, as well as everyone's different perspectives, what's your final take on this episode? Was this episode a real stinker that needs improvement, and where, or was this something that's actually worth our interest?
I'm conflicted because I think this probably has some of my favorite Spike moments in probably the last few seasons, but as much as I'm a Spike fanboy, as much as I love the character and love to see him, be a champ, and he was a champ in this episode, everything else about this was just so mean-spirited and cold. And I don't think I can watch an episode that, is so cruel and so absolutely contradictory to the spirit of the show. Like, it's okay to have dark things go on. It's okay to have things that aren't friendly. That's okay. But have something that's so overwhelmingly and absolutely cruel, I think, is disingenuous to the entire show. And if there are more episodes like this, I will really be disheartened.
Okay, Solar?
Long story short, I thought it had good gags. I thought Spike was obviously he was the highlight. He was like the MVP of the whole episode. The message was really convoluted and just, if it is what I think it is, which is basically sometimes you got to give them what they want so they shut up, I think that's bad. But, I mean, it's definitely, I think, worthy of at least a second watch, see if your opinions changed at least. Yeah, that's my thought.
I think if you change the core lesson to where, like I say, Discord could be teaching Starlight to trust herself and be herself in this role, I think that would have made this much stronger. I still think it's a fun episode for what happened around them, and I am particularly intrigued by the magical artifacts. The episode that's airing today, The End and Friend, the Aurora Amulet was mentioned in this episode and fleshed out a little bit in that episode. And I desperately want to know, what is that changeling artifact, and why was this changeling standing out when Chrysalis would never let anyone else have such power? So I'm intrigued by ideas introduced by this story, but not satisfied with the message of this story.
Like Critic, I'm kind of on the fence with this episode. I liked a lot of things about this episode. Spike, the Kamehameha moment, the callback to a few secondary characters here and there, but Discord he was really off-putting, very mean for no apparent reason other than getting what he wants. And he can be a good character. He can have his moments and be a trickster at the same time, but just not this spirited and such. Well, he's almost as mean as he is in Three's a Crowd, which is an episode that I hate, and I will talk about at a later time. But I'm on the fence, like Critic. Like some parts of this episode, didn't like some parts of this episode. I may have to think about it some more.
For me, this episode definitely needed to go through a couple more drafts. Like I said, one of the main things is Discord, some motivation, some reason for doing everything. Like I said, in the beginning, you could have, and I'm going to refine what I said earlier about, you could have had him, be just like, hey, why can't I be the head of the school? That's my job. I could do it way better, and blah, blah, blah. And you basically have him like, maybe if I impress the students, maybe I can impress Starlight, or, maybe I can prove that I can be the head of the school. And, again, you can go into that really creative imagery like I talked about with the Friends Forever comic #2 with the Discord and CMC. Have them just go through a whole bunch of fantastic and imaginative scenarios while teaching them. Like, for example, in a class about astronomy. Like, take them into space, put them in spacesuits. Like, and this class is a constellation of da-da-da. Or take them back in time. This class is a year of da-da-da, the battle of da-da-da, or whatever. Something that doesn't make him come off as, like, a complete jerk. He's trying to impress, fulfill his own selfish desires. But yet at the same time, he's actually being good, not directly. So, yeah, definitely need to go through a couple more rewrites.
Overall, this was pretty much an entertaining middle school project that needed like 8 or so rewrites, particularly with the moral and the setup to it.
I don't think it's the worst episode. I mean, that honor to me goes to the mod couple. But this episode has an endless amount of room for improvement. Like what Master Code said, they could have gone through a few more drafts and not make it as nearly mean-spirited as the Brony Critic pointed out. So, for the most part, this episode is a pass.
My thought is that this episode is the low point of the season I've seen so far. By far. I agree with Brony Critic and Silverquill. It feels out of place, and it feels like someone read the synopsis of Discord from season 2. And I just can't really understand why this episode wasn't like looked over a few more times and definitely changed to be a lot less mean-spirited. There's even situations in the episode in which students are in life-threatening, like Starlight declares, you're putting students in danger. That's a life-threatening situation that was just seen as okay. But anyway, I didn't get any more questions. Does anybody have anything they absolutely want to say before we get to the closing part?
I think Twilight should have a new award to give out monthly. Who put the students at the most risk? Right now, it's a tie between Rainbow Dash, Applejack, and Discord.
I like this. I like this new award, Professor who puts the students in the most danger.
Don't you think it should go to the one who put them in the least danger?
Not in this case. Also, I feel like the tree should be a member of the EEA instead of friggin' racist old Doctor Strange.
Based on the Teacher of the Month episode, I kind of figured they already had an award like that.
All right. So this has been Reviewers Web, our new roundtable with reviewers big and small and some in between. We will hopefully have the full cast and crew next week, or most of them. In the meantime, you can find all of our content links in no particular order in the description here on YouTube below. In addition to this, I will be issuing a copy of this live stream to all of the reviewers to cut, copy, paste, or do whatever they would like with it. It is as much theirs as it is mine. And I hope that they are looking forward to coming back next week, where we will be discussing the new Christmas episode.
Oh, yeah.
I got a wedding that I have to go to next week. I don't think I'll be able to make it.
It's okay. You will be here in spirit and in hand puppet form.
we'll still mention you.
Okay. I just wanted to put that out there.
Silverquill, this is the part where you say goodbye.
Well, thank you for having us, and we'll look forward to next weekend.
I really hope there's not going to be any more puns. Who am I kidding? Of course there is.
Yeah, that's a
You
bad
ask
trade.
for too much.
I hope that things are much clearer the next time, because I think of this as a trial and error.
Pilot episode, and I'm really happy with being able to participate in this. It's great to meet all you guys, and I hope we all get to have further adventures of the Reviewer's Web.
I just had a completely idiotic moment. I just realized why they're called pilot episodes. It's because you're trying to get the series off the ground.
So,
But yeah, for our very first podcast, I think we actually did pretty good. We got a pretty good strong
I
crew.
haven't stopped it yet.
What's that?
We're still live.
Oh, okay. That's fine. But yeah, so let's see how to end this. Let's see. Thank you guys for listening to this podcast. If you liked it, boop Silverquill in the face like a boss, and bro hoofs all around. Thank you guys. I'll see all you dudes in the next podcast.
Jack,
And
the kind of fan.
And
So-
remember the most important lesson. Possums have pouches like kangaroos.
So I am Fiora, and I have been here with Golden Fox, Jasper Pie, Lightning Bliss, Master Code, Shoujo, Silverquill, Solar Flare, and the Brony Critic. And those of who are not here currently are Thespio, K. Patterson, Moonlight Burb, and Sunset Shimmer Sparkle. Hopefully we will see our friends who are not here this weekend, next weekend. We will see you all at 7 p.m. sharp Eastern Standard Time. That's 6 p.m. Central Time, 5 p.m. Mountain, 4 p.m. Pacific. And if you live over in England, it's midnight for you.
Take that, UK.